because I know you coach wrestling as well, and American wrestling is just like, I mean,
Awesome.
they're awesome. I mean, if there's a sport we want to emulate, it's American wrestling. I mean, it's so closely related to what we do, and the success that they're having on the international stage is amazing. I mean, they're just, they're in the middle of their world championships as we speak.
Yeah, I love
And
it. I watched it
they're,
all.
yeah, they're doing so good, and they're dominating. They had like the best Olympic year since '84. And I'll be honest with you, '84 has an asterisk. I mean, I don't like to say that again, some of the older guy, but 1980 and 1984 were heavily boycotted. None of the
Yeah.
Eastern European countries, Russia, Cuba, or any of the Eastern Bloc countries, none of them came to the '84 Olympics.
Yeah.
So for wrestling, those are all strong countries. And now you have these guys dealing with way more. It's similar to judo, where there's now 16 new former Soviet countries that are possibly represented in the international scene for wrestling. So the American wrestlers are dominant, and it's the schools. Obviously, it's the school system.
Schools.
It's the schools. Are you losing? Do you lose players to wrestling, or you have a good job of? Have you done a good job of kind of keeping them, even though they do both?
Yeah, when they get into high school and they taste a little success, they get more hungry to train wrestling.
Yeah.
I try to tell them, I'm like, listen, I definitely want you to get better at wrestling, but your background is judo. Keep that X factor. That is your X factor. If you go wrestle a top kid in the state, you're going to have a less chance to beat him at wrestling. You're going to beat him if you lock him up and throw him Osoto.
Right. So do you like you coach at a high school that's near your club? Do you get a lot of people that are growing up in your club that actually go to that high school?
Just now I am. My nephew's on my team, actually, my brother's son.
Okay.
He actually placed in state for me last year. He upset everyone. He was a sophomore. No one really knew who he was. I mean, they knew him from me and my brother, but if you watched him wrestle, like, he's not that great of a wrestler. But he's never out of a match. He's locking you up in an overhook. He's getting your elbow. He's swinging you Sasai and hooking in Osoto. And,
So for some of our listeners that may not be aware of the world of wrestling in the United States, a state championship in most states is actually very high level. I mean, there's a few smaller states, but even some of the small states by population still have very strong wrestling. And then you have the states like California, where maybe it's not known to be the strongest wrestling state, but pure numbers. And there are some pretty darn good wrestlers in California these days, but
everybody wants to be a state champ. Everybody wants to be a state champ.
So what does this mean for your nephew? He gets a medal at states. If he's a sophomore, he got 2 more years, or did he lose a year because of COVID?
No, he's that was his. We had a
state championship last year.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Well, they pushed it, so It was just in June.
Got it.
So now we start again in November.
Okay.
I have another one of my judo kids took second in state.
So these kids that are taking second in state, you got your nephew. He's a sophomore. What does this mean for his judo career?
He loves judo.
Okay.
He doesn't train as hard as he should, but he does love judo. He loves going on the trips. He's kind of his own, he's kind of like my brother. He's very, I wouldn't say so. He's not very social like me. Right. He kind of keeps to himself. He, does his own thing. And, but
RJ was a workhorse.
Yeah. He's not a workhorse like RJ. He's talent.
So, I think that that's the hope, right? You get this talented kid that might not be the workhorse. If they can figure out how to become the workhorse with all the talent they acquired over the years, that's going to be the package you're looking for.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. He's starting to come around. His grades are much better now. And I think he's getting more on track. And he's, he lifts hard. He loves to lift. I hope he just clicks and says, all right, I want to just be a beast and unbeatable. That's what my other kid did, who took second in state. He was so talented. He is so talented. He upset someone his sophomore year, took 5th in state, and he loved it. And this was pre-COVID, so it's in Illinois,
Yeah.
40,000 people are watching.
So what happens if you medal or, you take a top 3 at state in Illinois? Is this like, are you going to get some collegiate opportunities from that? Like,
you're definitely going to get some looks.
Okay.
You're definitely going to get some looks. And then, then once the schools either reach out or contact you, they're going to want you to go do some freestyle and some national tournaments.